Good morning, good evening, good night, depending where you are in the world today. Ladies, gentlemen, lovely non-binary humans, my name is Jenny Gomez, and I'm the VP of Marketing here at LucidWorks. And today we're going to talk a little bit about B2B. But what kind of B2B? Well, we're going to talk about B2B e-commerce, and we're going to talk about why search is the right place to start to kickstart your B2B e-commerce strategy. Search is an essential part of your customer experience. Obviously, just like shopping online, the search bar has become an omnipresent part of our lives. We are probably so accustomed to search, we don't even realize how often we search on a daily basis. We touch a search bar at least half a dozen times a day as a human being in the modern world, right? These are some stats from Google that I wanted to surface because it really showcases the importance of when you're prioritizing search in commerce, why it's absolutely essential to make sure that your search is humming. $300 billion are lost each year from bad online search experiences. That's crazy. And 85% of global online consumers will view a brand differently after an unsuccessful search. 94% of US consumers abandoned a shopping session because they received an irrelevant search result. And if you use site search and you optimize your site search, 40% of your site's revenue could come directly from search. DC360 reports 42 of distributors say creating a more sophisticated website to better meet their needs is their biggest challenge for the upcoming year. These are insane statistics, and these numbers speak for themselves. So I want to talk about how also, especially in B2B, users are using search to do research. I mean, it's right there in the word. So B2B buyers prefer doing their purchase research online rather than with a salesperson. This is an important statistic because we're going to talk about field sales and omnichannel selling. This is like, when you're shopping in a physical store, in a brick and mortar store, and let's say you're just browsing, you're just trying to get a lay of the land. You're maybe trying on some clothes to see if a certain size fits. You want to see how some colors look against each other. You're looking for something, but you're kind of doing some research. And you kind of hate when a salesperson bugs you when you're in a brick and mortar store, unless you have a real question that you need to ask them in that moment that's very specific. The same goes for B2B. When shoppers are starting to poke around to, let's say, buy a new software platform, or maybe they need to buy some auto parts at scale, and some auto parts they're accustomed to buying have been discontinued and they need to find a replacement. They would rather search around and poke around on the internet and use search as their research tool than ask a salesperson. 65%, that's a huge statistic. 72% of B2B buyers start their journey online. So you have to pull out all those digital marketing stops. You have to make sure that you're making all of your product information, all of your documentation readily available online so that the B2B buyers can come to you, essentially. And 74% of buyers conduct online research for at least half their purchases when it comes to B2B procurement. Again, look at these numbers. These are massive statistics. So I want to talk about search. There's some search best practices that you can deploy today. And these are standard search. These don't talk about B2B search in general. If you're a little new to the search ecosystem and how complex it can really be, because it is more complex than just a little tiny search bar at the top of a website. There's a lot going on behind that search bar. There's some quick things that you can do right out the gate. And these are standard search best practices. These are not necessarily B2B, but we will talk about some B2B search best practices in a moment. So make your search highly visible. And I won't read all of these. You guys can certainly read for yourselves, but I'll kind of pull out some of my favorites. Optimize your terms for your customers' use. So this is like manually on the back end for search, or using machine learning to automate those search terms. You have to write out a lot of these search terms. Use the language of your customer. The beauty about search is always giving you all of your customer information right back. All of your customers' intent is right in that search bar. That's your most powerful first-party data, is that search data, because your customers are literally telling you exactly what they want. I mean, is there anything more valuable than that? So you want to make sure that you are designing your search to use the language that they use, not the language that you think they should use. Okay. And your search bar is going to tell you everything you need to know. So use special care, obviously, to configure mobile search functions. This is a little sort of nitty thing in search. We know that everyone's using their mobile phones to do just as much as they do on a desktop or a laptop. Definitely don't be afraid to suggest complementary items. We'll talk a lot about recommendations. Leverage site search analytics to fine tune your SEO. It's important that your SEO on your site, that you're keeping your customers on site and they're not going back into, let's say, Google to search for different things. You can use that SEO to make sure that your sort of product detail pages are being surfaced in search results, and then everything really sort of connects, right? So again, I'll let you read through these. Now, I want to talk quickly, and I'm jumping around a little bit here because I want to make sure I get in sort of all of our great best practices. We're starting to see a massive sea change in search. In search, in the past, everything has generally been quite lexical, which means based on keywords, right? Now, there's a whole new world of search being built right now by the search experts. The future of search is semantic search. And semantic really, so you'll see this kind of vague scatter plot here that I'm showing on the screen. What it is semantic search essentially creates relationships between search terms. Instead of just when, you know, a customer directly searches for something, they kind of just get everything based on a keyword. This lets you search based on like-minded things. An accent table might be connected to an outdoor side table or a patio side table or a nightstand. So if a customer comes in and searches accent table, and you know that they've searched for a couple other things, whether on Google or on your site, or maybe you have a customer that's like the customer that's searching and you can pull in some of those sort of similar search terms. If they type in accent table, they might get all kinds of things: indoor accent tables, outdoor accent tables, design accent tables. Maybe they're looking for something for their foyer. Maybe they're searching for something for their bedroom or their living room. How do you define that? How do you not just serve them every accent table? How do you search that? How do you surface to them the most relevant term for what they're looking for? Semantic vector search is an AI/machine learning methodology that is optimizing search at scale right now. It's really exciting stuff because it lets you use and it lets you train your search models to surface things that are the most relevant. If a customer, like the customer that is searching for accent table, has searched for accent table in the past, and they were specifically looking for an accent table for their foyer, this customer will come in, search for accent table, and get something for their foyer. Or vice versa. Maybe like they know, or maybe this customer's gone in and searched for a bunch of stuff, and you know that they're actually searching for patio furniture. Now you can make all of those relationships hum and surface more and more relevant results to that customer. We talked about how much money you lose when you surface bad search results. If you're starting to think about and deploy semantic vector search, those bad search results are a thing of the past. So, general search best practices we talked about in e-commerce. Now let's talk about some things you can do in B2B specifically. And these are idiosyncratic to the B2B sector, regardless of the vertical, but there is obviously some we can even drill down a little deeper on a different session because there's vertical sort of idiosyncrasies here as well. So detailed product results we talked about. You want your product catalog to be updated, detailed. You want part numbers, manufacturer specs. You want as much product detail in there as possible because the B2B customer is a discerning customer that needs different information than the B2C customer. Make sure your full text speed is at maximum. You can accelerate your systems instead of slowing them down by using an inverted index to accelerate that index processing. This will make sure that your customer gets results back super fast. And this is important in B2B because there's a lot more complexity in the search bar because customers are coming in looking for part numbers. Maybe they're specifically typing in some manufacturer details, some manufacturer brands. So you really want everything to be humming along quickly because there's a lot more complexity to process coming in. Look for partner-focused vendors when you're trying to deploy a search solution. There is the e-commerce ecosystem and the digital ecosystem. We talked about that interoperability. Remember, you want to make sure that your search vendors are working with a bunch of other different kinds of vendors in the ecosystem. What you don't want to have to worry about is building connectivity into your search platform. You want all that interoperability baked in already through API calls, through connectors, you name it. So make sure that there's partner is definitely featured on all of your vendor websites so that you know what kind of partners you need to sort of look into. And you might have a lot of folks you already work with. You want to know that your search vendor is working with all those folks. So you want out-of-the-box machine learning. So a lot of B2B, there's a lot to automate in B2B because of the complexity. You want to make sure that you search for a vendor that has some of that out-of-the-box machine learning so you can deploy that stuff very quickly. You can, of course, always bring your own models. And make sure that your data science team is working on their own things, but you should have some of those out-of-the-box capabilities to make sure that you can get started very quickly. Display your whole catalog. Your customers want to see everything. So make sure that when they're searching, and you can surface the right things at the top. Make sure that all your products are available on your site. So that way, when a customer is searching for something, if something is available and you're not putting it into your systems, you're missing out on sales. Customer's going to go in, search for something, they're going to see a null result. They're going to see, oh, no results to display. We don't have that item. Obviously, you need to make sure that all those products are in there and that the results are detailed, right? Design your site like you're selling million dollar products every time. Now, in some B2B use cases, you might be selling, $107 pieces of some electronic component, some Ethernet cable, some, a spark plug, but maybe your B2B customers are coming in and buying hundreds of them. Now, that's a $7 or maybe it's a $25 spark plug. I know supply chain and inflation has been crazy. Maybe it's a $25 spark plug, but you're going to sell a bunch of them, right? There's bulk orders here. You need to design your site almost like you're selling a luxury vehicle every time, right? You want to design $1 million experiences for your B2B customers because their price tags are just so different, and respect those price tags. Design $1 million experiences for every single B2B customer. So I wanted to surface some of the B2B companies. I just grabbed some screenshots from some B2B sites around the internet and surface some of Grainger's best practices as well for fulfillment and order management. We talked about that interoperability. These are just some screenshots of some things that B2B companies do to optimize their search. One of my favorite examples is the one in the middle where you hover over the list price and it says prices shown in your account is your account specific price, including all contracted prices or discounts. So that your B2B customers are customers that come in and have contracts with you. They're always kind of buying the same thing all the time. And maybe they negotiated a price point based on their bulk. So you have to have dynamic pricing on your B2B site, which is very different than B2C. And so you want to showcase that and ensure to your customer that what the price that they're seeing is their specific price, personalized pricing. That's a unique thing in B2B. And then obviously our friends at V-Belt, they're doing image search. They're showing little pictures of all the different parts right there and all the different model numbers. Just by you typing in replace, they're going to surface as many things as possible and these aren't just results. That's just as you're searching, right? Their search bar is also available in 4 different places. So customers can always come in and know exactly where to find the search because they need to search fast. Just a couple little best practices. I want to talk about Grainger too. Grainger talks about smart ordering, fast checkout, easy to find products. They connect to their order management systems, which control spend. Then they connect to e-procurements, which helps them automate processes. So again, because of the complexity of B2B customers, it's important to connect order management and e-procurement with e-commerce in B2B because you have all these contracts and all these personalized pricing experiences that need to be surfaced. So large price tags in B2B aren't deterring customers. And let's talk about why. The demographics of our buyers have changed. Millennials and Gen Xers are now buying more and more B2B than, let's say, the boomers. And the boomers have different buying habits, but millennials are becoming your buyers. And they're accustomed to going on search engines, using social media, which is really new for millennials. And they're on the company website, not as much as Gen Xers. You can see the increase here, right? They're like, oh, maybe I'll use the company website. Maybe I'll use Google, but I'm definitely going to use 29% of millennials are using social media. So what does your social media strategy look like today? You think it might not be important, but it certainly is. Millennials are doing research on social media. They want to buy on social media. They want to buy on social media mobile apps. Things are changing and they're changing fast. And then you can see even just from August 2020 to December of 2021, traditional interactions have gone down, remote interactions have increased, and digital self-serve is just increasing across the board, right? Customers are on digital. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So demand is growing. Obviously, B2B commerce professionals agree that big business buyers will place increasingly larger, more complex orders online over the next 2 years. This is all data from Salesforce and McKinsey. Remote and self-service are not just for low-value purchases. Majority of buyers are willing to spend $50,000 or more. We talked about designing those $1 million experiences on your B2B site. You got to do it. These price tags are huge, and you can sell more because you can sell it quicker and more efficiently and more effectively. All of that. You're seeing the trends arising here as we're going through this. So a lot more of your share of revenue is coming from digital channels, and it's going to keep increasing in the next 2 years. This is fresh Salesforce data that just came from their 2022 report. So we're talking like 2023, 2024. The shift is just going to keep shifting. So now, what does all this digitization mean for your field sales teams, for the guys that need to pick up the phone and still talk to your big ticket customers, your customers that are buying millions of dollars of stuff off of your sites, or maybe just they're not buying off of your sites yet. Maybe they're still dealing with their field sales team. The field sales team can help you have an omni-channel approach. Now, obviously, digital channels are great for business sellers. It lets them expand to new regions. It allows them to grow their customer base faster. They have more productivity. There's improved collaboration between departments. You know, the sales guys can talk more to their marketing teams. They can connect more about social media strategy. Marketing teams can tell field sellers exactly what's going on in the buying cycle. It's the two need to work together essentially, but field sellers can use a lot of the data that's coming in for e-commerce to actually shorten the sales cycle for big ticket items. They can use the online experience to surface product specification documentation. They can, you know, let people self-serve and say, hey, if you want to do some research, here are some links. Feel free to poke around, and when you're ready and have some questions, I'm here for you, right? That's the way that our field sales teams can really be empowered by the digital experience and not hindered by it. This doesn't mean we don't need our field sales humans. We need them more than ever. We just need them to think about the way that they're selling a little differently. So this is just more data to sort of support exactly what I was saying. Organic distribution for channels, again, more social media is happening. B2B commerce. And so this is a little tidbit at the bottom from Forrester that I really loved. 67% of global B2B transactions occur directly through a purchase order or a contract. At the same time, 15% of global B2B transactions occurred through rep-assisted e-commerce. Customers expect value-added interactions along their journey, and they still want things to be highly personal. But things are changing. But we still need one-to-one. It's really not easy out there for B2B, is it? Excuse me. We talked about mobile. It's kind of a no-brainer. I needed to surface it because it's important to talk about. I mean, obviously we're all on our phones all the time. Obviously you need to prioritize mobile. It's a big duh. But I can't present this information without talking about mobile. So, people that lead in mobile drive superior results. 42% more revenue if you're prioritizing mobile as well. It's difficult to build these omni-channel digital sort of teams. It's a huge transformation and it's costly, but invest now because the change is happening already. So get on the bus. I just want to quickly touch on B2B marketplaces because it's also it's another way to sort of digitize your e-commerce sales. And they're growing. It's still pretty nascent. But I just wanted to surface a few data points so that you know kind of where the trajectory is for B2B marketplaces. Small to mid-size B2B companies can use marketplaces. 15% of mid to large B2B brands will actually launch their own marketplaces. Not a huge statistic, but significant, right? Small but increasing share of tech purchases. And marketplace, Kinsey told us that B2B companies are actively investing in marketplaces, and that's exactly what customers want. Again, we're all accustomed to Amazon. I mean, it's like kind of a dirty word, but we're accustomed. We can't pretend that it's not how customers are accustomed to buying nowadays. And what the beauty is, I did speak with an analyst at one point when I was doing research for this presentation, and they said that niche B2B marketplaces need to be niche, and there's a real benefit for B2B companies to build marketplaces that for niche products. It's something that Amazon or Alibaba and the big marketplace folks don't do very well. They want to be everything for everyone. B2B companies have an opportunity by making those marketplaces really niche for their buyers, so they become the one-stop shop for like that particular thing. And maybe it's like auto parts specifically for, you know, end user mechanics, right? If every mechanic in America went to one B2B marketplace to buy all of their replacement parts, I mean, that's an opportunity right there, right? If they're not already. So there's an opportunity if there's a niche use case to take some of the business away from the big guys and give customers a better experience. Just some more stats on B2B marketplaces. DC360 is actually quite bullish on the direction of B2B marketplaces, more so than some of the other research analysts that I spoke to. I don't necessarily disagree with these numbers, but they're accounting for a bigger and bigger share of B2B e-commerce sales. It's just something that we cannot ignore because the growth has been a little bit faster than we expected for these marketplaces. So definitely something important to point out. You'll see a lot of big numbers here, a lot of billions and millions. A lot to digest today. I hope that I sort of illuminated you on some ways that you can improve your experiences. I hope I drove some urgency around why it's important for you to digitally transform your B2B e-commerce experiences. Obviously, your customers are shopping online, they're researching online, they want to buy online. Big ticket items don't matter. Definitely make sure you're thinking about mobile, connecting all of your channels across digital. Eventually, it'll be painful in the beginning, but you'll see the efficiency, the interoperability, how streamlined everything can be. Your sales teams will actually be happier because they'll make more money faster. Thank you so much. B2B e-commerce. It's so exciting. My name is Jenny Gomez again. You can find me right here at Jenny Gomez at jenny.gomez@lucidworks.com. Thank you so much for joining us for Activate. I hope you enjoyed the session and I hope to hear from you soon. Thanks again.